Hi, everybody. Welcome back to SecurityGuyTV.com. Almost live from GSX Dallas, episode 3000. It's a milestone with my next guest, my legacy guest, Mr. David Antar. He's the president of IPVideo Corp.com. Mr. David, welcome back, my friend.
Great to see you, Chuck, and I'm really honored to be your 3000th episode. That's a pretty great accomplishment by itself.
Thank you very much. And, you know, you've been part of that. You were literally, I think, one of my first shows. I think I got you on a GoPro way back in the day when I came around the booth and people said, blink, blink, why are you doing this? And why would I want to talk to you about it? So here we are. It's all modern video. And I will just say this. If you happen to come up with a version 3.0 of Halo, maybe you call it version 3000. I don't know. I'm just saying. Could be some connection there. That, you know. Anyway, today's topic is unmatched situation awareness for first responders. Now, as you know, full disclosure, I have one of these in my Airbnb. I have a Halo. We're going to talk about a different device today, but same concept. And I mean, quick story. The thing goes off at 3 in the morning about a month ago, and it's a domestic violence alert. And the people inside the house are going, "Oh my God, what's going in the back of it? What's happening?" Turns out they were watching a movie, and somebody said something not nice on the movie, like, "I'm going to kill you," and it went off, and it worked. It was amazing. So, you know, I'm a big fan of yours. This is AI, which is in the news now, before AI was AI. Really, you really are the pioneer in that area. So
we were ahead of our time.
You really were. Really were. It's fantastic. Now, today's subtitle is SentryERS Lockdown and Emergency Communication System. You know, from a first responder myself, boy, if I had something like this back in the 80s and 90s, how different the world would be today. I mean, I'm not exaggerating when I say that about this. Let's talk about that. I guess the first question is, you know, most know how IP video from Halo works, but how are you following this up with the success of the Sentry device? This is really interesting.
Well, what we ended up doing was taking Halo, which was our IoT smart sensor with artificial intelligence and machine learning that's gotten worldwide recognition and massive projects across the world in every vertical market, and took some of the components of that and built a new product called SentryERS. SentryERS is the equivalent of a blue light system that can trigger an emergency event. But the difference with traditional blue light systems, they're at a fixed location that you would hit a button to declare an emergency. And from that emergency, you'd be talking to first responders. With the current type of events that we have these days, from active shooters to fires in buildings to other emergency events, people aren't going to stand there talking to somebody on an intercom. They need removable communications. So that was kind of the concept behind it. So SentryERS has a lot of the capabilities of Halo, where it does voice recognition to declare an emergency just using my voice. I can do things like help, emergency, and it triggers an event from SentryERS. And you see the lights going off, and it's live right here. On top of that, we actually integrated a panic button to SentryERS. So we have a panic button that people can declare an emergency on a panic button. On top of that, we have gunshot detection. But the real important part is being able to declare an emergency by just pushing a button on here. And that button can be used for all different types of functions. It can be set as an intercom button to communicate with people. It could be set as a lockdown button or just a general emergency button. So I'm going to actually just reset Halo really quick, and then I'm going to show you how this works. It's actually kind of a neat function. So right now, if there was an emergency that was declared here, all I have to do is push this little button right here.
Attention. The building is in hard lockdown. Please follow lockdown procedure.
Now, if you notice, as part of the procedure, it's going to ask me to remove the device.
Mobile communications device.
Now, a whole bunch of things happened at this point, and I'm going to share my screen to start showing you some of those things. So we're going to switch to first reporter.
Notification received. Authorities have been advised and are responding.
So as you can see over here, I'm now streaming video from both the handheld device and the live camera on the device. And why this is an extremely important thing that we did is we have this where this can still go into classrooms and areas where you may want a certain level of privacy, but if an emergency gets declared, that's how we all of a sudden are able to transmit video once an emergency happens. The next screen I'm going to show you over here is where I can stream video to first responders. So now if you notice on here, I have an event that got triggered. There was a lockdown and a phone removed. I have the ability to start streaming video by just clicking on this button here. And now I'm going to stream 2 videos, one from the handheld device, think of it like a body camera. And I also have the ability to have two-way communications directly to first responders. With certain third-party integrations, we can even talk directly to a 911 PSAP without having to dial 911. We also have something very interesting over here, which is a pre-roll, the 15 seconds before I push the button. So even though this is a privacy device, there were 15 seconds before I pushed the button. And there you go. You can kind of see me pushing the button. Powerful pieces of technology here that all come together. And then I can do an all clear from here. It's going to reset everything back to a normal state. And I'm going to stop sharing.
Focus that situation awareness for us. Make sure people understand how important that is.
Sure. So there's a lot of use cases for this. One is obviously we're very highly focused on K through 12 schools and safe schools. A lot of technology we do. So that was the original design for this. However, there's a use case for Halo into every vertical market, whether it's a hospitality, whether it's into healthcare. We're even talking about this into manufacturing facilities. And one of the unique things about it is having all the apps loaded on this device that allow you to communicate with the first responders. In schools, as an example, teachers don't want to load the apps that the school district might provide to them that would allow them to communicate with people because they don't want their violation of their privacy to be a factor. So we're able to end up loading all the appropriate apps they need and securely lock them onto here. The other use cases for this is as a digital signage display. So we can display information on there, whether it's just room temperature information from our Halo sensor or other information. We can also use this as an intercom and PA system. This has SIP built into it or voice over IP. So it has the ability to act as an intercom and go live and communicate with people as an intercom during. And there's one really important piece to it, which I didn't mention previously, is in an emergency, if people don't want to text, they also have the ability to click over here, and I can report a medical event, active shooter, a fight. If I click on medical and send that event, that actually sent to the first responders the medical event, saying that there's a medical event. And we can actually use this for things like telemedicine. Let's say somebody's injured or has a medical emergency and they need to have healthcare professionals on the line with them. We can actually do that, and the healthcare professionals or telemedicine professionals can actually see what's going on and be able to give meaningful information to help revive that person or treat the illness that they find. So many use cases. People keep coming to us again with different use cases for this. This also has relays on it that we can trigger and lock a door or unlock a door from this. So there's a whole bunch of other things that we can do with this, as well as tie additional sensors as in the rest of Halo sensors. So now all of a sudden we have the air quality sensor, the carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, methane, propane, natural gas, chemical detection, all of the rest of the sensors that Halo does, including vape and vape THC, can actually be added to this and communicate through SentryERS back to our cloud.
Now, I always ask a zinger question, right? You expect that from me, right? Let's talk about single point of failure. What's the redundancy here?
So a couple of things. When I removed the device, if you noticed over here, there was actually a QR code under here.
Local communications
You can actually
device
scan that
removed.
QR code, be able to communicate with people and be part of the event if necessary. There's also redundancy built into the system. This is a complete standalone communication system by itself, where it has a camera and SIP. And then the handheld device over here has the ability to be able to communicate as a separate device. So we have redundancy, and this can also work over cellular if the Wi-Fi network was down. So we actually have 3 different ways to be able to communicate with people during an emergency event from the device.
Yeah, I was going to say cellular is my next question. You beat me to it. And, it's so important these days with all the different networks we have out there. It reminds me of the A-10 Warthog, the airplane you cannot shoot down because it flies with triple redundancy, right? I mean, it literally can't be shot down. That's amazing, David. Now, I understand SentryERS is integrated with a panic button for Alyssa's Law in schools. Tell us about that.
Sure. So Alyssa's Law requires the teachers to have a way to notify an emergency from the classroom. It's active in 4 states now and will probably spread to more states. And this is a component of Halo and SentryERS that gives us the ability to meet Alyssa's Law by triggering an emergency with it. And pretty simple, you just can click and it will trigger an emergency
Panic
event
event detected.
from the device.
Security notified.
Very, very cool way to be able to communicate. Teachers can wear this. It works over Bluetooth, so we'll find the nearest device it's next to, whether it's a Halo device or SentryERS, and be able to trigger an emergency event right from that.
So here's what I'm thinking. I'm sure you're thinking this too. I can see this device being written into law as a compliance device. In other words, you must have this because if you don't and something happens, you're going to be liable. Is there legislation in the works that is thinking this way? Because in this day and age,
Ironically,
why not?
Ironically, we are having some conversations with some lobbyists of both our Halo technology and this being such an effective tool to reduce the outcomes, minimize the outcomes from some of these serious events that are happening. There are so many use cases, from early notification to having to be able to clear a building very quickly during an emergency by knowing where everybody is in a building. So Halo gives that capability with the occupancy sensing, so we're able to clear a building very quickly during an emergency.
David, I can't say enough about this device. I've known you a long time. I've seen the progression on this. It's exciting to see how it evolves. It's the best system on the market. And I'm not just saying that. I know what I'm talking about. I've done 3,000 interviews, right? It's just brilliant, my friend. And you know what? It saves lives. That's what this is all about, isn't it? It's about saving lives. And that's definitely what that's going to do.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure being on today, and especially being the 3,000th episode. That's really an exciting thing. So thank you so much.
Now, I just got notice today that I may be actually coming to Dallas at last minute. And if I do, I'm going to come by and see you. And I want to see this thing in action. We'll make a little video in the booth, see how it works. Pretty exciting.
Sounds great. Have a great day.
All right, David, thanks, man.